Back again for another video. On today's topic, we'll be talking about the flamboyant simp. Now, where do I start? Let's see. The flamboyant simp. Well, let's look into what flamboyant means in the first place. And the definition reads, of a person or their behavior tending to attract attention because of their exuberance, confidence, and stylishness. Now, we all know, especially if you listen to The Grinch, there is a uniform for the gynocracy, right? It is multiple tattoos, usually baggy pants, anything that is outside of, I guess you can say, acceptable wear, that you can wear anywhere. That's what I'm talking about when I say acceptable wear. There's some things that you just shouldn't wear, and you shouldn't wear them certain ways. But I want to talk more about the personality, the type of temperament the flamboyant simp has. This is a man who oftentimes likes to use words such as queen when they talk to women. That's very flamboyant, in their presentation of how they show their simpery, to women. They start out with queen and goddess of the earth. And I mean, you might as well call her your highness at this point. I mean, let's be real here. But they're all over the place. It seems like ever since the word simp has hit the mainstream, we see more and more of them. Or is it just me? Am I just noticing more now that now that we have a lexicon that describes these guys? But I don't know. I've always thought of there are separations and categories of men, and I just wasn't that low tier man who was going to refer to every BW as queen. Even though she obviously is not even a leader in her own life, let alone the leader of someone else or her household. I'm sure there are some, but necessarily they don't refer to themselves as queen, I guess you can say. I guess they might be some, I don't know. But anyway, when it comes to the flamboyant simp, they're all about their presentation. They're all about how they address women and how they handle things around women. For instance, when they see a woman that is potentially single in some type of distress, oh yes, they're pulling over and they're going to ask, hey queen, you need any help? Is there anything I can do for you? I mean, yes, the women, they kind of expect these type of behavior because they are from the gynocracy. They act as though that men are something to be looked down upon, especially black men. So it's not a surprise that these women behave that way. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think they would if there wasn't simps around to push the agenda that this is how every man should behave. And then, as I've stated plenty of times in other videos, they don't necessarily care for simps. They don't necessarily care for all of it. On a side note, all of this stuff that's happening in regards to what women are trying, I view it as they're trying to see how far it goes until they get that spanked. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see it. They're trying to see how far it goes until somebody pushes back. And not just the pushback of uncertainty, meaning that they're pushing back because of an emotional response, but rather they're pushing back because that's the right thing to do. And no man should allow a woman to run amok like that. I think that's what most women are looking for in regards to the collective. But nonetheless, the simps are the ones who perpetuate this stuff. And even sometimes the men who are not necessarily simps, who fall into that category every once in a while. It is creating a reality for such a woman who enjoys these types of things on the forefront of the interaction. It's creating this biasness that every man should be this way. So thus, we have the flamboyant simp, and they're in competition. It's almost like watching drag, like a drag show. You know what I'm saying? Like they trying to be as flamboyant as they can to compete with the next simp, right? and by way of how they handle things in regards to women. Like I've stated before, they seem to prioritize, I mean, how can I put it? They seem to prioritize the existence of a woman over themselves. I mean, these are the type of men that will literally lay down in front of a puddle for a random woman just because she has a vagine, and they will let her walk on them just to get over that puddle, and thank the woman for that. I mean, are men turning into masochists? Is that what's going on here? Because that's what I view it as. That's what I see it as. Because this type of exuberant praising of someone who has done necessarily nothing to be viewed in that way, it's ridiculous to me. And that's why I call him flamboyant, because a normal man, even if he has some level of attraction to a woman, he's not necessarily going to give a woman a super amount of platitudes in order to gain her attention. He is what gains her attention, right? And not necessarily in his dress as far as the flamboyancy goes, but in the way he carries himself and how everything that he adorns himself with and says complements each other, meaning that his tone of voice actually matches his shoes. You see what I'm saying? That type of thing. That's what women pay attention to in regards to the ones that are looking at actual men. But these simps, boy, whew, they be on these YouTube streets just praising. I guess since church isn't getting the men anymore, they're coming on YouTube to praise women instead of God. That's what it seems like to me. Geez, I've heard some serious stories in regards to simps and the things that they've done. And once again, it doesn't astonish me at all. But at the same time, it's just like, when does the competition between the flamboyant simp end? I mean, it's entertaining to watch. I mean, but it's kind of sad at the same time, because once again, this is perpetuating to women that this is the normality of men, because there's an abundance of them. So therefore, they believe that since they run into 9 out of 10 men who are simps, that the baseline existence of especially black men is a simp. That's crazy to me. But anyways, I didn't want to make this video too long. I have a few other topics that I'm going to put out. I'm actually going to talk about the single mothers, or the women who refer to themselves as queen. The women who refer to themselves as how can I put it? How most alpha, so-called self-proclaimed alpha women are actually mostly single mothers. You ever notice that? Another thing that I have on my topic, because I actually have a list, I don't have like a rundown or anything, but I'm going to let me look at my list, because I have a few notes here. Vetting a woman for many years before marriage is preferred. I think that vetting a woman before marriage is, even if it takes a few years, is appropriate. And I'll go into my reasons why, of course. And I'll talk at length about that as well. That the BW actually has no standards in the black community. A lot of people say that it's black men that have no standards. I tend to disagree on some fronts. Yes, there's a baseline, but I believe that BWs actually have really no standards at all. But that's, like I said, another topic. The other thing I'm going to go over, talking about mothers, how they, especially in the black community, how they are mostly geared towards the presentation of being a mother instead of actually being a mother, because that's a different level of responsibility. They would rather look like a mother than actually be a mother. Not all, but a lot. What else is on my list here? Let's see. A really long one that I want to do is the history of a trick. History of the trick. And that may be a small little mini series, because I was listening to a panel not too long ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, something like that, where a guy was saying that he said that, black men now are more in tune with tricking, but there's a lot of contradictions to that the women even say, and that the men say as well. But I'm going to go into a little bit of Japanese history with that, and I'll show you that again, that tricking really has never been a part of the American black man's history. Ever, really. It was nothing that was socially established. It was nothing that was governmentally given the go ahead for. No, that's not us. In other countries, though, tricking has been around for, over 1,000 years. And that's not part of our history. So black men being tricks is a foreign thing to the culture of black men itself in America. What other topics am I going to go over? Let's see here. Protection starts with self. No one will protect you if you don't protect yourself first. SYSBM, right? The other topic, let's see. I have a bunch of topics. Like, I've been just replenishing my energy so that I can approach this space properly instead of giving y'all half-ass videos, right? Another topic is something that I'm going to call female theory. And what I have written here is the aspect of having an ideology about life that isn't proven, and also put through it is also put through a female lens. And I'll go in more in depth with that, of course. I have a bunch of stuff. Let's see. A new one that I just recently came up with. I was speaking to one of my submissives yesterday, actually both of them, about this topic. One in short, one in length, but about this topic of how men cannot move their emotions on 180 degrees, like women can. But there's also something that women can't do, that men can do, in the opposition of how these things rest together. And I'll talk about that more in depth. But anyways, hopefully that is a good list of things that may pique your interest to keep watching the channel. But of course, if you guys have any topics, I'm always welcome to address them. Just put them in the comment section. Just ask me a question. I don't know. Just say, hey, can you make a video on XYZ? I got one about BPD, which is definitely on my list as well. I'll go into more of the stories. But, honestly, I will probably put those stories as a shared story. But I'm clearly going to list them as BPD. But it's going to come from my other channel. But it'll be shared here on this channel. Because that is a topic that will be centered around BDSM. And you know me, I don't like to pretty much mesh this type of content with that type of content, but it has to be framed in that way, because that is how I apply things to deal with that type of individual. So I got you guys' topics, I got the things going on. I'm going to make more videos for the Patreon. One of the videos that I'm going to make for the Patreon actually might be the history of the trick, the Japanese version. And then I may do the history of the trick, the Middle East version. And then I'll touch a little bit on the history of African American men and how we're not connected to tricking at all, really, with historical facts. Okay, so it won't be a lot of anecdote, but it's something that I want to work on, because I have a few bodies of work. I still plan on doing the videos for the top predator in America. And it's not white men. It's actually white women, right? A lot of people necessarily might not agree with that, but I won't give, once again, my anecdotal viewpoint on that. I'll actually give points in history, and I want it to be concise. Okay, so that's why that video is taking some time, because I'm still gathering information while still trying to do everything that I am doing, because YouTube isn't always my life. So I have other things as far as schoolwork, children. I have my submissives, I have a house to take care of and other responsibilities of that. So it's a slow burn, but it'll get there. Let's see. I think I want to touch again on how pride is toxic for women. And I want to go more in depth with that. That is on my list for topics, which will probably go on my Patreon. And a few other, I guess you can say esoteric speakings, for instance, interdependence versus independence, and the difference in those and how they play out in the gynocracy versus how men actually handle those things, and how women should handle those things. Let's see here. How women are more likely to have their emotion, to be with a man who can move their emotions versus who can move their physical reality. That's also important. And I want to do a sort of a parody. I ran across this saying of that you might enjoy. It talks about a lamb and a wolf. So I'll tell that story, and we'll go from there. I have a bunch of topics, as you can see, and as far as I know, I really haven't ran across anyone who is discussing these things and the way that I do it, I guess, or at all for that matter. So anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. More videos to come, as you can see. I have a list. But anyways, this has been the Wolf in Beta Clothes. May you have a good day. And of course, peace be with you.